everything is energy and we can tap into the body and see what's going on beneath the surface.
Welcome back to the Live Pure podcast. I'm Janel. And again, I have another guest with me, and this is Dr. Angie Cross. Angie, it's awesome to have you here today. Thank you.
Thank you. This is so exciting.
Yeah. So let me just explain to everybody a little bit is that you and I met, I think, on Facebook, and now we work in the same office together. You're an acupuncturist and chiropractor. And I had my first session with you recently. And, for 4 years, I got a divorce 4 years ago. And I keep thinking, well, I've done enough healing. I'm healed, right? But it's so cyclical. And so the session that I had with you really touched on a mother wound that I thought for sure I had let go of. And I hadn't. And there's a friend that had come into my life recently that also touches on that mother wound. And so I feel like you really helped bring awareness to that. And then I was able to go home and process it and to really sit with it, to pray with it. And it was amazing because all of the Bible readings and studies that I was doing over that week really was, again, speaking directly to that mother wound and how to let that go. And it was such a beautiful process. But I loved being able to come into your office, into your beautiful space, and how you held all of that for me. I loved the muscle testing scenarios that you did. I loved being able to put on the color glasses and do the color therapy and really process through some of those emotions that, again, I don't think that I'm an emotional being so much, but it was able to touch enough that I'm like, oh yeah, there's still something there. And so I really appreciate that about what you offer to people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's great to hear that. Sometimes people, they don't always have, they don't know how to put into words what they're feeling. So the fact that you just, expressed what you did feel and that you noticed that it was the mother wound and the mother topic that came up, and especially for moms, I'm also a mother and we all carry so much, maybe pressure sometimes, like, are we doing a good job? But yeah, the modalities are just, it's energy and we're releasing trapped emotions and we're through muscle testing. I've been doing muscle testing for over 20 some years, just really understanding that everything is energy and we can tap into the body and see what's going on beneath the surface, and then using some fun modalities like the colored glasses tap into the different chakras, and the tuning forks are the different frequencies.
Yeah, the tuning fork is always lovely. I love that.
Yeah. And sound. Just even I use a lot of the sound therapy and the singing bowls and just kind of combine it all, and whatever each person needs, I just really let the intuition also guide.
Yeah, I think that's something that's beautiful about women, as we are so deeply intuitive about a lot of those things, especially as mothers. And when we can bring that in and help heal other people, I think that's so powerful.
Yeah, the intuition, people are always like, how did you know to pull that topic? And I always say, I'm just doing the muscle testing, and then I have a combination of a lot of different techniques, but there are different charts with different emotions. And I just go through and say, okay, what topic or what emotion needs to be released? And then we just go in, and a lot of times people can remember. It's like, oh yeah, like that happened when I was, a child, or even recently, if it's something a little bit more recent. It's pretty accurate. It just goes right in and finds that exact emotion that's trapped, or a limiting belief. That's another common one, is just not feeling good enough, or what's blocking me. I work a lot with, as a chiropractor, it's all the nervous system.
Yeah.
And then with acupuncture, the meridians deal with the different emotions, the yin and the yang, the organs and the emotions, the mind and the body. And a lot of times with tapping in muscle testing, you can find exactly what's blocking somebody. And then you just go in, and through modalities or tapping or different neurological resets, you can just unwind that or eliminate it.
I love the word unwinding. It's such a beautiful concept, like when I think about fashion, how it connects to everything, or even the dark matter of the universe. It's like it's all so connected. And even though we may not have scientific tools that can measure all of that, it's so palpable in the way that we do our work. And so, like for me, reflexology, when I put my hand on people's feet, just questions or colors come to mind. And it's something that I can ask people and they're like, how did you know that based on my foot? Like I can ask like about their digestion or, hey, did you get an injury here? I love being able to know when a woman is about to ovulate or she's on her cycle based on just the reflexology of that. And, to be able to open that awareness up to our clients, I think that's already planting a seed in and of itself. And I think that's such a beautiful part of, again, what our work is and how we're healing people together.
It's such exciting times now that people are finally, I think, becoming aware that this whole other world exists, the emotions and even the spirituality, and, that the mind and the body are connected. And the fact that, more and more people are trying new options and new healings and being open to it is really, really exciting. I grew up on a farm in Iowa where we didn't talk about any of this.
Yeah.
So I had to go out and find it. And it was just, it's been life-changing because this is the real stuff that really makes a big difference in patients' outcomes is
Right.
when you start tapping into the inner body and the thought process. The founder of chiropractic, Dr. D.D. Palmer, he said, all misalignments or dis-ease starts from either thoughts, trauma, or toxins. And, I just always remember that every time I'm with a person is so many chiropractors, which is amazing, but they just focus on the trauma or the physical body. But I think we really are at the time in the world where we also need to be asking about the thoughts and the thought
Thoughts are
life.
so important, or just what we're consuming visually and auditorily, right? Like social media and constantly watching, not to diminish what's going on in the world around us, but we can be aware of what's going on without having to visually see all of that on a regular basis and to be traumatized over and over again. And then just the thoughts about ourselves, like, am I good enough or whatever? And so if we're constantly consuming TV shows and things that are at that low vibration, then that definitely causes damage to our body and then how we interact with other people, how we're moving through the world.
Right. And I think also the digital era that we're in, our nervous system, I don't feel has caught up yet. And that's why I feel like there's so much distress and inner unsettledness. Like I feel more and more people are just unsettled and they can't quite put their finger, what is it? And I think it's because with all of the phones and the social media and just all of the electronics everywhere, I think that's also another heavy burden on the nervous system. And, going back to thoughts, trauma, and toxins, and this as a lymphatic practitioner, but we're exposed to so many toxins now.
On a regular basis, yeah, just environmentally, right? Babies are being born with plastics in their umbilical cord. There isn't a single place on the planet that we can escape from microplastics anymore. I know that they're doing more and more studies that are confirming microplastics are being found in the artery. So they're the leading cause of Alzheimer's and arterial blockages and strokes, heart attacks, all kinds of weird things.
I just watched that new documentary that's out on the microplastics, and
it's terrifying.
It's very terrifying. But I love it that we are starting to talk about these important topics to create the awareness and to empower the people, with the fertility or the hormones and
hormone imbalances. Yeah. Especially with those heavy metals and the plastics. And so I know that you've been studying on hormones. And so can you tell me a little bit about how that disrupts hormones in and of itself?
Yeah. I had my own personal struggle when I had my babies 15 months apart, right out of chiropractic college and had a busy practice. So I'm like, what in the world is wrong with me? So I went down this rabbit hole and I found out it was major hormonal imbalance, adrenal fatigue. That was 20 years ago. So maybe 21 years ago. So I've really been on this journey for 2 decades, really studying and learning more and more and more about hormones and how it really affects. And now, here I am. I just turned 51.
You look amazing for 51.
Thank you. And so do you. I mean, we all, we're just all trying our best, but I've recently gone down another layer of deep dive with hormone, just the topics and what disrupts the hormones. But absolutely, if if we are exposed to whether it's laundry soap, people don't realize, but all the little things that you plug into your wall and it creates this beautiful so-called scent, the fragrances, the chemicals, the even some of the clothing and the makeup, and it's just everywhere, right?
Everywhere, yeah. I can't even go into a regular box store, and
know.
I have to avoid that whole section of like laundry detergents and things because it's so overpowering.
Right. They say that like the laundry detergent aisle is the most toxic aisle in the whole entire store, but yet here we are washing our dishes in it, and there's residue on there on some level, or even we're washing our clothes with it and then putting that on our body. So I always tell people, and then
the synthetic fabrics on top of that, yeah.
And people get stressed out and they're like, well, gosh, what am I supposed to do? And I say, just start becoming an aware consumer. Just start swapping things out. Start avoiding all fragrances and start, instead of packaging your food in plastics or plastic containers or using the plastic little bags that you store food in, there's different options out there. Use glass.
Yeah.
Because all of the hormones have to go through the liver. And if you don't have a proper phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3 detoxification, that's going to allow for those estrogens to recirculate. And then you get what's called estrogen dominance. And then that creates a whole different story.
Yeah.
So
I love that you brought up the estrogen dominance because it's different than having an excess amount of estrogen, right? It's not just necessarily that we have high estrogen.
Right.
It's estrogen dominance, meaning that the body isn't able to do something with it. And it's just overloading in the system itself.
And not enough progesterone typically. And what I find when people have estrogen dominance, it's typically the recirculation from a poor functioning liver or an overburdened, toxic load from just things in their life or lifestyle. Also, stress is typically involved, and then therefore you don't produce as much progesterone. And especially starting around mid-30s already, that progesterone starts taking a hit. So it's really that compound effect.
Yeah, I started going through my perimenopausal symptoms at 37, I think is when we did a blood work and we realized. So, I mean, I'm sure it started even before that. But then I also really like how you're, again, bringing those hormones into play. So if we're less in progesterone, then is that what affects our sleep?
Oh, yeah. Progesterone is the calming hormone. And if you think about it, we need that progesterone to make our babies. And it deals with the lining of the uterus, and it deals a lot with fertility, but it also deals a lot with being calm and stable. So it helps us with our moods. It helps us with our sleep. It helps with also the production with the GABA. And, all of those things deal a lot with the mind-body connection. The progesterone is a very beautiful hormone that really can make a huge difference in women.
Progesterone at night.
It does. Yep. I take some progesterone at night before I go to bed, and boy, oh boy, it really does help.
It does make a difference, yeah.
And bioidentical. You just want to really try your best to either use a plant-based hormone type of an option.
Versus synthetic.
Yeah, like chaste tree is really good, or wild yam. There's different options for natural. Yeah.
But what emotion is held in the liver?
The liver and the gallbladder are partnered organs, and that's anger, frustration, depression, any sort of like just feeling this angst.
Yeah.
So that's the liver and gallbladder.
Because I think when people hear like sluggish liver or a malfunctioning liver, they just automatically assume it's associated with drinking alcohol. And that's farthest from it because, again, like you said, the liver processes everything in the body. So if we're overwhelmed with just the chemicals we're consuming on a regular basis, I know that with just environmental pollution through the air we breathe, all of those things. And so I recently started partnering with a company that offers coffee enema kits.
Oh, yeah.
And I love now talking about consuming coffee in the other way because it's so cleansing. And I've noticed a really big difference. So I don't know if, but I know that the little half moons on our fingernails.
Yes.
And so when I started doing the coffee enemas, I only had it on my thumb and my index finger. And as I've started doing them on a regular basis, I'm noticing the half moons come across the rest of my fingernails.
Oh, yeah.
So that's like a really sure sign for me.
Yeah.
But then just the digestion in and of itself, what my bowel movements are feeling like, how regular they are, what they look like. It's such a huge difference. and then the energy. And
I love
again,
it.
maybe because I know that I'm not an emotional being from like the human design aspect of it.
Right.
That's part of me. I'm not an emotional being,
Yeah.
right? And so but the energy that I have, the clarity that I have, it's amazing. It's not like drinking a cup of coffee. It's like you get this whole mental clarity that comes with it and without like that caffeine jitters. And
I didn't realize you did that.
Yeah. So I push it on everybody. I'm like, hey, if you drink coffee, try it the other way around.
That's amazing. You'll have to share that with me
Yeah.
because, that's something that when I'm working with my clients and even hormone patients is I ask them, do you do colonics? Have you tried the coffee enemas? Because all of that's there's a direct vein that goes from the rectum all the way up. I call it like the super highway.
Ooh, cool.
And it goes directly into the liver. So that's kind of how it works as well.
I didn't know that. I just assumed you put it in there and like just the absorption of it or some sort and bacteria do something nice. I was thinking antioxidants directly to the colon, but I love that now I have like a super highway.
Yeah. There's a super highway
Autobahn,
that
right
goes
to your
the liver, there's a portal vein that goes from the rectum all the way up to the liver. So
okay, cool. Yeah, because there was a hormone compound pharmacist that I have spoken to before in the past, and he wrote a couple little pamphlets. And he was also talking about you do something that's kind of like the master cleanse, where you add the olive oil and you're doing like heavy master cleanse with that. And that actually helps expel any gallstones. It softens it up and then it pulls it all out through the digestion as well. And I haven't gone that far because I don't think I have gallbladder issues, but I'm assuming if somebody's got a sluggish enough liver, the gallbladder is also affected.
Yeah. The interesting thing is the liver actually produces bile. And then it goes from the liver in through the little cystic channel, and then it goes into the gallbladder area where it's kind of held. And then as we eat fattier foods, then that little bit of bile is squirts out as the fat material is passing by. But if we have liver issues, it's not uncommon to also have gallbladder issues, or there again, if you're eating too much fat or too much processed food, it starts to burden the gallbladder. And then you become, sluggish gallbladder. And then you start getting pain or you start having digestive issues or gallbladder removal is one of the top surgeries in the whole country.
Enormous. Yeah.
And again, I think it goes also back to, what's the unresolved anger and frustration? And then how is your diet? Are you eating too much like the fat and not enough healthy fat? Because like you said, the little morning tonic, like even a tablespoon of olive oil with a little bit of lemon, like a half of a lemon, even with a little cayenne pepper, is a really good way to kind of just wake up that digestive system first thing in the morning.
My son loves drinking just lemon and ginger. He'll slice up ginger and lemons and have that for his first little thing in the morning. I mean, he loves lemons in general. He'll eat a lemon like an orange.
Yeah.
But it's like he also eats French fries on a regular basis and the fried chicken and, all the crappy stuff too.
It's hard for
kids. He's a skinny kid, but I know that there's, when they come in and do the in-body scan, if somebody's got like a low phase angle, which is their cell vitality, that's a sign that there's something in their system. And then that's when I'm like, hey, you need to come see Dr. Angie.
Yeah. Or have a shot of, a little olive oil, a good quality olive oil and a half of a lemon squeezed together. Shake that together and, drink that. It's a good little way to keep the gallbladder healthy as well.
And could people use that as a salad dressing alternative?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
How do you feel about eating salads?
I love the salads. Right now there's a lot of information on oxalates and things like that where all the vegetables, but I'm still a firm believer. Macros, is what matters the most. I know there's a lot of information out there on just keto and heavy protein and all of that. But again, with how my training and what I believe, and especially for the nourishment in the mind and the body, I believe in macro-based Mediterranean type of a diet, which is, your some healthy grains, your fruits, your vegetables, a lot of healthy fats, your avocados, coconuts, olive oils, and then
all the things that I've I've had to cut out.
Oh,
Not cut entirely, but when I started using the new nutrition program that we
Right.
use at the office, which is totally different. I've used other programs over the last 30 years,
Right.
but this one is different because it's color coordinated.
Oh,
And so like all of the macros have like proteins all blue and fats are all orange or whatever it may be. And then at the end of the day, it gives you a 5-star review on each individual meal. And, so it kind of helps you hone in. And so it's telling me if I'm going over on fat or if I didn't get enough carbs or whatever it may be. And I learned that after just a few weeks of me eating what I normally have always eaten my entire life, that I have a love affair with fat. I was going over like 80%
wow.
on a daily basis, very regularly of fat. And it's because I love avocados, nuts.
Right.
I'll eat a spoonful of ghee when I'm making it, just put it right in my mouth.
Well, that's great. I'll have to check out your, that program too. I didn't realize that it really got that dialed in. And
Yeah.
it does, you bring up a point where a lot of times people they think they're eating healthy, but really, like you said, without awareness or without tracking, sometimes it's like, oh, like maybe I am doing too much healthy fat. Or,
Yeah. Maybe.
even though it's healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, even like for myself, when I first figured out that I had the hormone imbalance, I started changing what I was eating because I was eating a bowl of organic berries in the evening every night before I went to bed, just as a snack. It was organic blueberries and raspberries and strawberries. But you know what? As soon as I started switching things around, and it's like, no, the fruit belongs earlier in the day for the blood sugar, I was able to drop weight just naturally. So just little tweaks.
Little tweaks.
Yeah,
It makes a huge difference. Yeah.
it does.
I'm so excited you came today and that we've had the
Yay.
opportunity to share a little bit about ourselves. I love that you're in the office with me, and I can't wait to
Yes.
keep doing more amazing things with you and building our community together. So thank you for coming.
I agree. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.